What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Budgets and Brews morning coffee break, where we look back at some of the top finance stories of the week and share in our 2 cents. Today is November 1st, 2020.
That is correct. We got some good topics to cover today. Number one on our list is what the heck is ESG? We're going to talk about that a little bit. Pot, aka marijuana. How do you feel about it? We got some marijuana news here. Facebook is launching a cloud gaming platform we're going to talk about. Also, Callaway is closing the door on TopGolf deal. Crocs is expecting some big growth that we're going to talk about. Netflix just raised their prices, and we like it. So, hey, we're going to talk about that a little bit. And Juul, the e-cigarette valuation is way down. And then also we have a COVID-19 update for everyone. So stay tuned.
Yes, and if you missed our podcast episode last week, we did Budgeting 101, creating a budget from scratch, and we brought on budget coach Bobby Olson. It was awesome. We discussed budgeting myths, so we debunked those. We created a budget from scratch so you can work one real time with us, and then we went into detail on the 5-step budgeting process. That's actually Bobby's 5-step budgeting process, and this link to this podcast is in our show notes, in our description. So definitely feel free to check that out if you missed it. But we're going to dive into the first topic.
It's a great episode, and we all know the importance of budgeting, so feel free to check that out. All right, Rich, so what do you got for us on ESG funds, and what the heck is this?
Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you this, and then I'm going to change my background because it's getting annoying with this.
Yeah, you're looking a little weird over there.
But that's my advertisement of the day. And you shall see that I'm having some Dr. Pepper instead of my coffee, but you can't even see it. I'll show you later. Okay, right. So ESG, what they are. So investors, they've poured in a record of $22 billion into these ESG exchange traded funds. So this year, which is triple actually the amount from last year per Bloomberg.
So this is an ETF fund, right?
Yeah, and there's a bunch of them. There's not just one. There's a handful of them, but the label is ESG. What is it? It stands for environmental, social, and governance issues. And it helps determine the corporations that sort of resemble and line up with your political, environmental, and social attitudes. So you could solely like invest in those companies that align with you. So they some people coin the term responsible investing. I actually pulled up like what some of those might be, because some of them you've heard of, other ones you haven't. So Next Era Energy, so that would be labeled an ESG company. We have Microsoft.
I like Microsoft.
We have Brookfield Renewable Partners. We have Salesforce, Home Depot.
So these are like companies that are considered to be like environmental, social, and governance issues responsible. Like it's kind of like a badge of honor. Like, hey, we're a good company. Yeah. We're ESG labeled.
We're working towards these missions, and if it aligns with you, jump on board and you can invest in us. So the thing is, like the topic is the SEC, which is the Security Exchange Commission, who sort of regulates our stock markets and the companies. They don't really regulate the companies that label, the ESG label that a Home Depot would slap on it. So
I don't like that.
It's sort of like a farm calling itself organic without having to run it by anyone. Like, oh, we're organic. Trust our word. You know, we're going to put that label up there, and then you're probably going to buy it because we use that. So I'm just wondering, should people be using these as an investing vehicle? Is this something that you want to build your 20-year, 30-year retirement plan on? Now, I'm going to pose that question to you, and I'm going to go change this background.
I mean, personally, I love Microsoft. I don't know specifically what companies, other than the few you've mentioned, are ESG labeled. I like the idea of this a lot, but the fact that the SEC doesn't regulate who's using the ESG label kind of makes it mean nothing, right? Because companies can say they are, and there's no one checking them, right? There's no one verifying like, hey, we're ESG, we don't pollute or anything, but maybe you do. Like maybe no one just called you out on it yet. So if there's no official organization or institution like checking the standards of the ESG label, then I don't really see the point of it. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't invest in any of these companies if they do have the ESG label, so I don't know.
Yeah, I just think I'm going to put my money with whatever company that I can look at that track record and I can see a proven growth, some type of plan that they have that's laying out in front of me. I probably don't care what your label is because I'm in the market to make money. I'm looking for a retirement, which is hard. And I'm not saying that's right for everybody, but for me, that's why I'm in the market. If not, I'm not going to be in there if I wasn't trying to make money. So if that's what your company can provide, depending on whatever that label is, I'm going to go with it because I'm looking for returns. I don't really.
It's the hard truth, man. If it don't
Yeah.
make dollars, it don't make sense. You're investing to make money and to maximize your profit. Personally, if you're a really great person, you only want to invest in companies who are ESG labeled, even though no one really checks that. That's awesome. I'm not going to be one of those people though. I'm going to invest in
No, I
companies that
might
make me
though.
money.
I might have an ESG fund in there if
Right,
it's
right.
good. Sure, why not? You might be able to sell me on it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you do have a like slideshow. We're gonna show this video up there so people can well,
It is a
yeah,
screenshot of the
screenshot.
ESG principles, so you can
Yeah.
check that out.
Yep.
And let's move on from that one, and make sure you comment. Let us know what you guys think of ESG principles and if you like that kind of label or not. But next up here, we got pot, aka marijuana.
Yes.
How's this been doing in the United States? What news do you have for us, Rich?
Yeah, next week. So actually, yeah, the next week, this upcoming week, right now, I guess, because will be coming out on Monday. Residents of 5 states: Arizona, Montana, New Jersey, South Dakota, and Mississippi, will vote on various legalization measures with marijuana. So I'm wondering, is this a good time for investors to start to get into that cannabis market? We saw this. I don't know how many years ago, but like when pot stocks were like really, really big and people started jumping. I bought some. I bought, I think, Tilray or something. I think I bought it at like 120. I looked the other day and it was like $3. I'm glad I sold that, but like all of a sudden it depleted. Yeah, it went down. And now is this like, is it a new turn? Like what's going on where now this is a buzzword again, these marijuana stocks? So what do you think?
Well, for me personally, I think it looks like the United States as a whole is kind of making progress towards legalizing marijuana. Based on what I've seen, 11 states plus DC have legalized recreational pot. 33 allow medical marijuana, and the legalization is increasingly popular among U.S. voters. According to Pew, which PEW, 91% of adults think it should be legal for either medical or recreational use. And for anyone who doesn't know what Pew is, I had to look it up. Pew is a research center, is a nonpartisan American think tank based in Washington, D.C. It provides information on social issues, public opinion, demographic stuff. So they're just supposed to be like a non-partisan, kind of similar to like the Census Bureau. According to them, 91% of people think it should be legal. So I think that we're making progress towards this. I think marijuana would be a great thing to look to invest in. Just do your research, right? Like you mentioned, a lot of these companies during the boom went really high and now have like leveled out and stuff like that. So find out who the
Cannabis was one.
Yeah, Aurora Cannabis was a huge one. Find out who the big players are. Find out what states these companies might be able to, set up growing dispensaries.
I wonder if they're ESG labeled.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Organic or whatever. But I don't think it's definitely something to just turn your head away from. It seems like there's a lot of changes being made, so might be some good investment opportunities out there. I don't really know too much about it, but I'm not going to turn it down.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, progressively, more cities are now legalizing it, or Biden wants to decriminalize it, and so maybe there'll be a small uptick in some of those if that happens. I'm all for getting taxes, tax the heck out of this, put that back into that city, and whether it's the roads or the infrastructure or just the economy in general. So I mean, I guess I'm for it. Would I invest in it?
Yeah.
I mean, I took the stab before, and I lost like a couple bucks on for some shares, but I guess personally, no. Personally, I think I'm good with my index sort of setup. Yeah. And I just don't know too much information, like you said, about these. They just say, okay, I'm going to just throw a bunch of money in it.
But some people might, especially because they're saying like they're potentially have the option to legalize it in 5 new states this week.
Yeah, they're voting.
Yeah. So I mean, if a certain company has it in with that state or something, and they can build some new dispensaries or growing facilities, stuff like that, that could definitely raise some stock prices, and you might see a little bump there. So something to keep an eye on. But I agree with you. I think states and the United States as a whole, we need to stop sending people to jail for marijuana, small amounts of marijuana and stuff like that. And, it should be use it as something that can bring in tax revenue to help the state,
Yeah. Our next one is Dunkin. So Dunkin,
Yes.
Tony, what do we got here?
So Dunkin is talking about going private. They're actually being purchased. They're being bought out by, so according to, let's see what we got here. According to New York CNN Business, Dunkin is being acquired in an $11.3 billion deal. The company that's purchasing them is Inspired Brands. It's a holding company backed by RoArc Capital Group, a private equity firm, which is purchasing Dunkin', and Dunkin' also owns Baskin Robbins. And Inspire already owns 11,000 Arby's, Buffalo Wild Wings, Sonic's, Jimmy John's, and other restaurants. So they're a big player in this industry, and they're essentially taking Dunkin' Donuts out of the stock market, and they're going private with them. So that's $11 billion deal. Say goodbye to your Dunkin' stock.
Which I was interested, like, I mean, because every time I go by Dunkin's, they're just the lines out the door,
like
the drive-through. But yeah, I mean, I guess if they're going to make $11 billion.
I did read in an article though that Dunkin' is carrying some debt. So apparently, Inspire Brands is just they're eating that debt, and they're going to manage the Dunkin' company from here. So that's that. Say goodbye to Dunkin'.
Facebook is our next thing. Yes, so they announced on last Monday that it's rolling out a new cloud gaming service, which, here's another one, I feel like. But this time it's going to have free games.
Yes.
So it's only on Android and the web. And you're looking at Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. All those companies already rolled this out, but it's a pay by subscription. And they're trying to get those paying customers. Pretty much Facebook's saying, we're just going to do it for free. So what's going to be different? What's different than the Microsoft attract, what's going to attract me there, and Amazon versus Facebook? Is this going to work? How are they going to get their money and their revenue?
Yeah. So they all have something. So and these are cloud gaming platforms, and then also game streaming, right? So Amazon, I think they purchased Twitch, which is a huge popular gaming platform or game streaming platform where people watch professional gamers. You can do stuff like that. Google has their own, Microsoft has their own. I don't know if they're all paid for, but the big thing that Facebook is focusing on is free games, right? You come to our gaming platform, you can watch people for free, you can game for free. That's what their whole thing's going to be like. They launched a mobile app. It's called Facebook Gaming Worldwide, where people are able to create and watch live gameplay, which is cool. The move sees Facebook taking on the likes of Amazon, Twitch, Google's YouTube, and Microsoft's Mixer. So they're all just trying to compete kind of for that market, the cloud streaming market. And I think it's a good move by Facebook. I mean, their goal is just to keep people on their platform. So they gotta keep up with the times,
Yeah. I was just watching, what was it? I don't know if it was either I was listening to the Joe Rogan podcast or it was a social media documentary on Netflix. One of those I was listening to, but they're basically saying the social media companies are competing for your time. That's what they're doing. It's they want your eyeballs on their app, on their screen.
They want to throw ads.
This could be another thing here. Here it's free, right? You're the customer because it's free, but now you have your time's dedicated there. It talked about how Facebook's competitor is not Twitter. It's YouTube, because YouTube is pulling people from those platforms, the social ones, and the video platform. And when you look at TikTok, right when you open the app, it goes straight to the movies or the little videos and stuff like that. It doesn't give you time to go ahead and click, I'm going to go to the video section or the reels. It's no, boom, here it is, video, start watching, you drone. And while you're, swiping through this and hopefully you're spending hours and hours just watching these videos and just, they got your time. And so I think that's what sort of Facebook's trying to do is we'll give it for free. Come over here, kids, and just, play on our platform all day long, and all the attention's on Facebook. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I think it was a good move by them. And like you said, they're all competing for that same area. So we'll see what happens once they launch it. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but let's move on here. We got some news from Callaway, which is the golf company, or I guess I don't know what you consider them, golf manufacturing. I don't know. Callaway is a brand, golf
clubs,
brand.
Apparel.
So they are closing in on buying the rest of the TopGolf organizations or facilities.
I think they owned 15, 20% of the company. Now they're let's just take it all.
Yeah. So TopGolf is a high-tech driving range and bar that could be valued around $2 billion. And if you haven't been to a TopGolf, Google it real quick, figure out where they are. They're so fun.
Even if you're not good at golf.
No, it's all about fun, right? This is something you can do with your friends who never swung a golf club before, and you can just laugh at them and stuff. It's hilarious. And everyone has a good time. They sell drinks. They got food. I think there's really nice areas where you hit the golf balls. They're heated and stuff. It's it's really cool.
They bring the food right to your bin. It's or your bag or whatever.
I think it's kind of it's a little bit expensive, but when you bring a group of friends, everyone splits it. It's really not that bad. It's fun.
Yeah. So I think if they do that, that's going to be great. Great for Callaway, because I think I see those things popping up left and right.
Oh
And,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the COVID market, I don't know what that sort of looks like for them. I haven't been to a TopGolf because, you're using the same clubs as everyone else, but I'm guessing, people are sanitizing them afterwards.
Hmm.
But I mean, I think being out there and having those with bays that are spaced out from other people, at least,
Sure.
6 feet, or if you're just doing like one per, because I think there was like 2 bays under one area, they might just do like one for family or things like that. I do. I think if Callaway takes them on, I think it's going to be definitely a positive.
You think they're getting a good deal on it because like COVID hit, maybe Topgolf
Right.
sales are down and
Yep.
stuff, and Callaway's like, all right, we're gonna pounce
Let's
on
do
this
it.
thing like a lion and just suck up the rest
Yep.
of Topgolf. Yeah, they're probably trying to get as much as they
The
can.
PGA Tour, or the Masters, was one of the most like watched things out there. Moreover, like MLB and
Yeah,
football. So golf's it's on the
make a
rise in the
comeback,
COVID
baby.
era. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Mm.
yeah, that's the way COVID impacted like the sports watching
Yeah.
volume or
Speaking
something.
of Callaway and golf, the next topic is Crocs, which is
Yeah.
unrelated, but Crocs should make a golf shoe. That would be
Ooh,
cool.
that'd be something cool. There's an idea.
That would
Send
be
it into
cool.
them. Write it into
Yeah,
them.
so they expect to grow, and we talked about them before, how they're partnering up with all these
Hmm.
different music industry people and KFC, and you know, they expect to grow another 20 to 30% in quarter 4. So,
I
are
could
you
see that.
investing? Like, would you invest in
I would
Crocs? Like,
definitely,
has it tipped the scale for you to say,
I did
okay,
invest. I like 3 weeks
you
ago
did?
when I saw that they were uptaking. What was it, like Justin Bieber's came
Yeah,
out with like some
yeah,
Crocs or something.
yeah,
I was like, okay, I'm buying some Croc stock, and I just threw like a couple
some
$100 at
Croc
it, and
stock,
just it's been doing good, man. And if they're expecting to grow
right?
20,
Yeah.
30%, hey, that's enough for me, man.
Now,
I'm in.
I wouldn't, pull out my
Don't put
retirement
your whole no.
and
I'm talking
put
play
everything
cash,
into Crocs, but if you had some extra spare coin, I'd throw some in there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's for the play money, right?
Netflix. What's going on with
Big
Netflix?
news. Netflix has some huge stuff going on, right? So they hiked their prices, and they haven't done this for 2 years, right? So the basic plan, there's been no change to, staying at $8.99, but it's $1 higher for the standard plan, which is now $13.99 a month, and $2 increase on their premier tier plan, which is now at $17.99 a month. So you could potentially be paying $18 a month for Netflix because of that $2 price hike. And because of this, once this news came out, their shares rose 3.7%
Yeah, that was
following the news.
interesting.
So apparently people are okay with it, and it's gave
And
their
they're okay
stock
with
price a
it
little bump.
because they like the Netflix original. And so every year
Is that what it
Netflix
is?
invests
Yeah.
more money in pumping out original content. So the executives thinks that the customers appreciate that, and then it's worth
Yeah.
that price. It's worth paying that that higher price. So the more original content to them equals a better arsenal for Netflix to sort of
Yeah.
defend off some of the other competitors that's
Sure.
out there.
There's a
So
lot of them popping up. Disney Plus is taking a stab at the market. And Hulu,
yep,
HBO,
Amazon
Amazon,
Prime,
yeah, Amazon Video or
Apple
whatever it is.
TV.
Apple TV. I think
Yeah.
Apple's is overrated
So for
personally.
me, I don't like it. I remember when the
You
first
don't
time
like the
they did
price
it.
hike?
I don't like it. No, I'm not paying for it. I don't want to pay for it. I don't. But there's
You're
too
not a
much stuff
Netflix.
out
You're
there,
not a
and
Netflix person then, huh?
but at least there's no change to the basic plan. So
Yeah.
honestly, if it was me, I would have the basic plan. It's not me. I'm with my
I
wife.
get it. I
She
get my
wants the
Netflix.
$13.99 plan, and she gets
Yeah.
what she wants.
I get my Netflix from my brother Joe. So hey Joe, thank you. But he shares his login with me. I gotta say, I love their Netflix original content.
It's good.
It's really good. It's really, I mean, most of it. I mean, I don't like everything, obviously, but there was one thing in particular, getting a little bit off topic, but just real quick. It's called Hubie Halloween. It's a
Yeah, with Adam
Happy
Sandler.
Madison, Adam Sandler Happy Madison
Yeah, that
production.
was
It's a
good.
Netflix original content. I was like, man, me and Ariel watched that the other day. It was great. Absolutely loved it. So I think Netflix is on the right track. I think they're doing good. I think good things to come for them.
Following that is someone who's not doing too well. So
No, not at
Juul.
all.
So Juul is the e-cigarette maker, and
Yes.
it slashed its valuation of $10 billion, or to $10 billion. It was
Right.
worth $38 billion in 2018. And it's interesting. It's like one of those, I feel like we talked about this before too, these phases where a company gets in there, it's hot, and everyone's like, oh, cool, Juul,
Sure.
like vape god, like, and all of a sudden, like, where'd it go? I'm moving on to the next thing. What's the next thing? So, okay.
You know what's funny?
It's
And
TikTok. TikTok stole the Juul.
yeah. In
I don't know.
2018, it seemed like these e-cigarette vape shops were popping up all over because everyone was like, that was like the big like stop, stand up against
Yep.
tobacco and like quit smoking, shut down the cigarette companies, all that stuff. And then like,
There was a
hey,
King
well,
vape on every corner.
here's e-cigarette stores everywhere, and now the e-cigarette stores are just whoop, it seems
Yeah.
like they're tumbling down. $38 billion valuation to $10 billion. That's huge, right? So there must be that industry must be hurting. I think it's kind of like one of those trend things. It's on
But it
its way
was a
out.
lot had to do with too with people coming in saying, "Hey, you can't label these things with these different fruity flavors and target towards
Yeah,
the
plus states have
adolescents."
been banding them
That's not
too.
really good with that marketing, and so I think that
Mhm.
really hurt their brand too. Because when they came in here, they had like key lime pie and vanilla
Super bubble yummo,
something.
like yeah, like all these
Yeah,
crazy.
and so it was sort of like inappropriate marketing towards the younger audience.
Yeah,
And once that was sort of stopped, I think they slowed down when it was like, well, now you can only have like menthol flavored Juuls or something. I don't Juul, so I don't know. But it's
neither do I.
probably not as cool as grapefruit bubble gum.
Seems like the industry as a whole has been hurting due
Yeah,
to a lot of the state
I would
regulations.
not be investing in them.
No, I
Yeah.
wouldn't either. But we got our last
Last
topic
one.
here, which is a more serious topic, COVID-19.
Mm.
So this past week, there have been 83,000 new cases per day reported, a couple different days. I think it was Friday and Saturday. When cases peaked at 76,000 new cases in July, officials reimposed restrictions on restaurants, public attractions, gatherings, all that stuff. Remember, like they were like shutting down churches, like all
Yep.
this stuff.
COVID took
And
over the cities.
right, in the hard-hitting states, which was like California, Florida, Texas, New York,
Yeah.
places like that. Everyone's saying like it appears that we're in a third wave of COVID right now. The spikes are heading back up. I don't know how to feel about this. What do you think is going to happen with this new wave of COVID and the spike? You think anything's really going to change, or what do you think's going
Well,
on?
I think we know how to adapt if it does. I think
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing right now. In the beginning with the first wave, no one really knew what was going on.
right.
No one knew, and we didn't have guidance. We were making it up like on the fly. Like I feel like companies were just implementing stuff, and then all of a sudden it starts at a university or it starts at a restaurant, and everyone's like, "Oh, okay, that's what you're doing. Let's follow those same protocols and
Mm-hmm.
procedures." So I feel like now we're ready for that third wave if it happens, and I do see spikes. People reporting our testing is getting better, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we're ready for it. I don't think we need to go into scared mode. We're like, okay, lock everything down and shut all the businesses and
Right.
start, unemployment, 600 extra bucks. I don't think we need to be at that stage. I think that we've seen what we need to do, and we can take precautions. And I think that is what I think with the flu coming out now and the cold weather, all of that too. They're saying it's more of like in the airborne. So I think that also is contributing to the higher cases as well. So I think wearing the mask might be better off in the cold rather in the warmth or something like that. So now I think it's just crucial that we take these measures if we're going to be going out there, if we're going to be putting ourselves out and being vulnerable, shopping and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you made a valid point that we've learned a lot for up until this point, about how what COVID actually is and how it's transmitted and stuff like that. Like the CDC, WHO, they've reported different things about like
Yeah.
how airborne transmitted is it? Can you actually get it just like from being outside, like and people breathing by each other? I don't really think there's a huge risk of being outside and needing to wear a mask, but I'm not talking. Everyone should wear a mask if you're going out. I think
And
everyone
I
should wear a
think
mask.
strictly if we're talking, about finance, though, is how is this going to relate to the market? I
Yeah,
don't think that it would be as drastic of an impact as it was when this first happened and the market tanked. I
sure.
think what's going to,
You don't think?
maybe shake up the market a little bit more is
Mhm.
election day. Probably not even election day, maybe a little bit after, because I think it's going to be confusing. People, on Tuesday, they're going to be like,
Voter
uh,
turnout's been
we
pretty
think we have
good
a
from what
winner,
I've
but we
heard.
don't know. Like the votes aren't
Yeah.
in yet, and the next day
Mhm.
comes. Then how long are we going to wait until we get in the mail counting those things? And I think it's going to be very interesting with the markets until we figure out some like who the candidate's going to be, and then still there's going to be a little shake, and then it's going to pan out. But I don't think COVID is really going to make the market hit more
Shut
than that
down
would. Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see the shutdowns and things like that. Although have seen that there's some places in Europe they're enforcing curfews,
Yep.
businesses to close from 10 to 6 a.m. stuff like that. So, I mean, it's not out of the question for stuff like that to happen if things start to get bad. I think in Texas too. What was it, El Paso? They said something like their hospitals are starting to reach capacity. They're asking people to stay in for the next couple weeks and stuff like that. So it seems like at the state level, the states are doing what they can. You know, they're the big thing is we don't want the healthcare systems to be overrun. So everyone just listen, you know, take precautions, do what you can. And I don't think it'll be like a huge shutdown like it was before. No. I don't think there's too much to worry about. Everyone just needs to be considerate and take the necessary precautions.
And that wraps up this week's episode, of the Morning Coffee Break. Thanks for joining us, because once again, you can follow us Facebook page. We give away free apparel.
Yes, we do. Check us out.
Oh, you just got yours. Yeah, I got the maroon color one, and you got the black and white one.
So pretty cool. If you want some free apparel, like our
hat
Facebook
you got
page,
too. You
yes,
just
I do. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, I like the gray and black. I think I'm gonna get one of those.
We got some good merch. Like and share our stuff. Let us know what you want to hear. If you leave us a comment, maybe we'll just choose you randomly to send you a T-shirt. You know, we like our listeners to be interactive with us, so don't feel free to check out our pages.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like let's do that. Let's do it. If somebody's watching the video up to this point, and they just go on the video that we posted on our Facebook, make sure you like our Facebook. If you say, "Give me the free shirt," we got one coming your way. That's all you got to do. You just got to comment, "Give me the free shirt," like our page, and you got a free shirt. We're sending it off to the first person who does that.
All right. Sounds good, man.
All right. That does it. See ya.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.